Dear students, we are reading the next chapter, that is The Black Aeroplane by Frederick Forsyth. In this lesson, the writer tells us about his unusual experience when he was flying his old Dakota aeroplane over Paris. He was going to England and he was looking forward to enjoying grand breakfast with his family members, and it was a smooth journey, and he was very comfortable in the journey. Suddenly he saw some huge black mountains of clouds in front of his old Dakota, and he was struck in those black clouds, and all the instruments, gadgets on the aeroplane were out of order. Even he was not able to contact anyone. Then a miracle took place, and his life was saved by another pilot who was flying the black aeroplane. How his life was saved, what happened, we'll read in this lesson. So let's get started. The moon was coming in the east behind me, and stars were shining in the clear sky above me. There wasn't a cloud in the sky. I was happy to be alone, high up above the sleeping countryside. Here the writer tells us that he was all alone in the sky. It was clear sky, stars were shining, moon was coming up in the east behind me. It means he was flying towards the north direction, and there wasn't a single cloud in the sky. It was clear sky, and he was very happy to be high up above the sleeping countryside. And I was flying my old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. I was dreaming of my holiday and looking forward to being with my family. I looked at my watch, 1:30 in the morning. The writer was flying his old Dakota aeroplane over France back to England. He was going to England, and he was looking forward to be together with his family, and he was looking forward to enjoy his holidays with his family members. He looked at his watch. It was 1:30 in the morning. I should call Paris control soon, I thought. As I looked down past the nose of the aeroplane, I saw the lights of a big city in front of me. I switched on the radio and said, Paris control, Dakota DS 088. The radio and said, Paris control, Dakota DS 088 here. Can you hear me? I am on my way to England. Over. After looking at his watch for timing, the writer thought that he must contact the Paris control room, and he looked down past the nose of the aeroplane, and he saw the lights of a big city in front of him. He switched on the radio and said, Paris control. Mean to say, he tried to contact Paris control and told the control room about his old Dakota DS088. The voice from the radio answered me immediately. DS088, I can hear you. You ought to turn 12 degrees west now. DS088, over. And he got message from the control room, and he was directed to turn that 12 degrees towards the west. And after that, the voice from the control room was over. I checked the map and the compass, switched over to my second and last fuel tank, and turned the Dakota 12 degrees west towards England. And the writer checked the map, Compass is a tool which is used to tell direction. Switched over to my second and last fuel tank. Now first fuel tank was over, and now he switched over to the second and last fuel tank and turned the old Dakota aeroplane 12 degrees west towards England. I'll be in time for breakfast, I thought. A good big English breakfast. Everything was going well. It was an easy flight. The writer thought that uh, that he will enjoy he would enjoy delicious breakfast with his family members, and everything was going smooth. It was an easy flight. Paris was about 150 kilometers behind me when I saw the clouds. Storm clouds. They were huge. They looked like black mountains standing in front of me across the sky. And he has left 150 kilometers back Paris, and when he looked in front of the aeroplane, he saw black clouds, and those clouds were stormy clouds. They were very huge, just like a mountain standing in front of the writer across the sky. And I knew I could not fly up and over them. I did not have enough fuel to fly around them to the north or south, and the writer was helpless as he could not fly up and down and north or south to avoid the huge mountains of black clouds. I ought to go back to Paris, I thought, but I wanted to get home. I wanted that breakfast. The writer thought that he should go back to Paris, but again he gave a second thought to go home. And as we know that everybody feels sick of home, and that's why he wanted to go home and wanted to enjoy the delicious breakfast with his family members. I will take the risk, I thought, and flew that old Dakota straight into the storm. Inside the clouds, everything was suddenly black. It was impossible to see anything outside the aeroplane. The old aeroplane jumped and twisted in the air. And after much consideration, the writer decided to take the risk. He as Here we can understand that the writer wanted like to enjoy an adventurous life. That's why he took the chances, took the risk, and he flew his old Dakota aeroplane straight into the stormy clouds. Inside the clouds, everything became black. He could not see anything outside the aeroplane. The old aeroplane was started jumping and twisting in the air. Twisting means that was rolling over the sky. I looked at the compass. I couldn't believe. So here we can understand the writer was flying his old Dakota aeroplane straight through the clouds. My eyes, the compass was turning round and round and round. So writer was surprised to see that the compass was out of order and its needle was turning round and round. It was dead. It would not work. The other instruments were suddenly dead too. I tried the radio, and suddenly the writer found that all his instruments were out of order. They were not working, and he tried the radio. Paris control, can you hear me? There was no answer. The radio was dead too. I had no radio, no compass, and I could not see where I was. I was lost in the storm. Then, in the black clouds quite near me, I saw another airplane. It had no lights on its wings, but I could see it flying next to me through the storm. I could see the pilot's face turned towards me. I was very glad to see another person. He lifted one hand and waved. When the writer was surrounded by the black clouds, Then he tried the radio and to contact Paris control, and there was no reply from the Paris control room. And here we understand that the radio was dead, out of order, and other gadgets were also not working. And in this way, the writer was not able to know where he was. He was struck in the storm, and he was surrounded by black clouds. Suddenly he saw another aeroplane, that was black aeroplane with no lights on its wings. Wings means blades, and but still the writer could see the black aeroplane, the other aeroplane, another aeroplane flying next to him through the storm. And the writer could see the pilot's face, and the pilot gave an indication with his hand to follow him. Follow me, he was saying, follow me. He knows that I am lost. I thought he is trying to help me. In this way, the pilot of the black aeroplane gave a signal while waving his hand, and he wanted the writer to follow him. In this way, the writer gets his message and decided to follow him. He turned his aeroplane slowly to the north in front of my Dakota so that it would be easier for me to follow him. I was very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. And the pilot of the black aeroplane slowly turned his aeroplane towards the north direction in front of Dakota aeroplane of the writer, so that it could become easy for the writer to follow him. And writer became very happy to go behind the strange aeroplane like an obedient child. After half an hour, the strange black aeroplane was still there in front of me in the clouds. Now Now there was only enough fuel in the old Dakota's last tank to fly for 5 or 10 minutes before more. So Ryder was following the black aeroplane for the last half an hour, and in this way, when he looked at the fuel tank meter, then he came to know that he had only 5 or 10 minutes more fuel left in the fuel tank. I was starting to feel frightened again, but then he started to go down and followed through the storm. Again, the writer was afraid, as he thought that fuel will be over very soon, but it did not take place, it did not happen so. And suddenly, the black aeroplane started going down. The writer also followed him through the storm. Suddenly, I came out of the clouds and saw two long straight lines of lights in front of me. It was a runway, an airport. I was safe. I turned to look for my friend in the black aeroplane, but the sky was empty. There was nothing there. The black aeroplane was gone. I could not see it anywhere. And the writer in this way came out of the black clouds. Now he found himself out of the black clouds and saw two straight lines of lights in front of himself. And he was very happy that it was a runway, an airport, and he was absolutely safe and sound. And he turned to look for his friend, mean to say the pilot of the black aeroplane, but the sky was empty. Nobody was there, and even the black aeroplane was gone. And the writer could not see it anywhere. I landed and was not sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. I went and asked the woman in the control center where I was and who the other pilot was. I wanted to say thank you. So the writer landed safely, and he did not feel sorry to walk away from the old Dakota near the control tower. He he just visited the control room, and he saw a woman sitting over there. He asked the woman about the pilot of the he asked the woman about the other black aeroplane that was visible on that night in the sky. I wanted to say thank you because the writer wanted to say thanks to the pilot of the black aeroplane. She looked at me very strangely and then laughed. But the lady at the control room was very much surprised when the writer asked him about the pilot of the black aeroplane, and the lady started laughing. Another aeroplane up there in this storm? No other aeroplanes were flying tonight. Yours was the only one I could see on the radar. And the woman in the control room replied that said that there was only the writer's aeroplane flying to that night in the sky, and she could see only the writer's aeroplane on the radar. So, who helped me to arrive there safely without a compass or a radio and without any more fuel in my tanks? Who was the pilot on the strange black aeroplane flying in the storm without lights? So, here the writer was completely puzzled, and as he did not get any answer of the mystery who saved, he was thinking about the pilot of the black aeroplane who saved his life, and he was thinking about the black aeroplane that was flying next to him, next to his aeroplane, Old Dakota, through the stormy weather, and he who saved his life when when he had only sufficient fuel, when he didn't have enough fuel in his tanks, and he had only enough fuel to last for 5 or 10 minutes, and in this way the pilot of the black aeroplane saved his life. And the writer was completely flabbergasted. He was very much surprised thinking about the black aeroplane that was flying in the storm without lights and saved the life of the writer. So this is the end of the chapter. Thank you. Have a nice day. I hope you are getting the summary, the chapter very easily. If you still have any problem, you can contact me through the platform of WhatsApp. Thank you. Have a nice day.